Welcome to everybody that's tuned in this morning, no matter where in the world you are. Such a pleasure to have you on board, and believe me, absolutely elated because we're talking to the Groovy Shirt Club coming out of the UK, I think in London, and I think I know where he's at as well. We're talking to Rob, of course, and well, I tell you what, I think I'd better do this. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and absolutely elated because really the Groovy Shirt Club, I've been playing it for a minute now, absolutely loving what they're doing, and believe me, you guys in the noise are not shy about telling me what you like. Check this out. Walk in the park, you're right here at Galaxy. Good morning. So how you feeling, Rob? You okay?
Yes, I'm good, thank you.
Nice. Just to let you know, we're in every English-speaking country in the world, and some that aren't. Rob, I don't know how that works, but I'll take it anyway, all right?
Yeah, fabulous. Actually, I was thinking about what radio interviews I've done before, and I'm pretty sure that this one is the first one I've done outside of the UK.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
No.
So certainly live. I know sometimes they put things online later on and it goes out, but this will be the first. Is extraterrestrial the right word? I'm not sure.
Well, one of us is, and I think it's me, to be honest.
So it was real. Thanks for having me on the show. Asked me to do it. It'd be great.
Not a problem. Now, I gather that Barbara has found you herself. Now, this is extraordinary because Barbara gets about 200 submissions of music a day from different bands.
Wow.
So for her to have the time literally to go finding new artists as well is a phenomenal act. It really, really is. So, and let me tell you, Rob, we only play the best indie artists in the world. So,
okay. Well, thanks. Well, that's a pleasure to be in that category, that's for sure.
Well, you've ticked all the boxes, and believe me, with Barbara found you, and then she's gone to production, and Barbara, see, we can only do so much in a month. So,
no, of course, yes.
So when you're getting a couple of hundred, you've got to be vicious sometimes and just whittle it down to something manageable, which then goes to a board, and once it's approved by the board, because they're only interested in our image anyway.
Yes.
Which I think is ridiculous because then they give it to me and look at me, I'm great for their image, aren't I? Yeah, know what I mean? I got the best face for radio ever. But Rob, honestly, Barbara gives it to me in a little USB device that I have absolutely no information, and I go and play you in my car.
Wow, I guess it's good. So you sounds like you generally like the music then, which is really very flattering.
Well, the thing is this, Rob, you see, I've been an engineer for about 47 years, and when it comes to me, basically, and when we first started doing this, I had all the stuff saying, you got to do this interview, you got to do that interview, and I was just getting like, enough, right? Let me base it on the quality of the music itself. I don't know who you are or what the name of the song is, no information. And when I'm interested, well, that's when we put together an interview.
Yeah, well, that's good to hear because actually, I think more and more, especially the big commercial stations in the UK, are starting to get more and more restrictive and kind of playing the same thing.
I'm going to have to break in there, my friend. We're about to go live, okay?
Okay.
That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM. Good morning, nice to have everybody on board. And this morning I'm talking to Rob from Groovy Shirt Club coming out of London, England. Good morning, Rob, nice to have you with us.
Good morning to you and good evening in the UK.
Yeah, absolutely. What is it, about almost midnight now?
I'm looking at the clock. Yeah, it's 20 to 12. Yes, 20 to 12 midnight tonight.
Well, I tell you what, you're looking well for the witching hour. That's for sure.
Thanks. I think it's because we had a nice barbecue this afternoon and had a couple of glasses of wine. That's probably why.
Ah, that'll explain it. That really will. Rob, Groovy Shirt Club. Now, where did you come up with the name for this?
Okay, I get that asked a lot. Actually, it was because when I first got the project together, I had the idea of doing some new songs because I had a sort of a bit of a pause from it. It was the songs came first, really, because it was just a random thing. I got approached by an independent film company in Australia to submit a couple of songs for the soundtrack for the film that they were making, and that was just before COVID, and then COVID hit, so the film never got made because the COVID thing came along. But that sort of started me, writing again and coming up with more song ideas, which I've always done all my life anyway. And I thought, well, I'm just going to keep going because it was very quiet here. There was nothing else to do, so I just kept writing songs. And then when it sort of eased off a bit, just having a glass of wine and a friendly chat with a couple of mates, and we were just talking about it, and they said, "Oh, so what are you going to call it?" And I do have a kind of penchant for a nicely patterned floral shirt, and the two friends that I'm with both have similar tastes in shirts, and all three of us were wearing these kind of bright floral pattern shirts, sitting in the sunshine, drinking a glass of rosé, and I just looked around at all three of us. They're nothing to do with the group, but I said, "Oh, what about the Groovy Shirt Club?" Because I was a few drinks in, and it was the first thing that came off the top of my head, and then it just stuck in my mind, and I parked it and thought, well, you've got to come up with a cool name, and in the end, I got so attached to it that I couldn't think of anything else better, and it kind of sort of reflects what we're about really as well musically, because influences, especially from the writing side, is very much sort of entrenched in that kind of classic vintage retro era, whatever you want to call it, 60s and 70s sounds with real instruments and writing songs from scratch on a piano or guitar or something like that. So it kind of has that sort of harking back a little bit to that sort of late 60s, early 70s hippie era as well. And the songs are kind of little sort of groovy shirts in their own right, really, because they all have their own little personality and character. So the name stuck, and I thought, well, and the more people I told about it, they went, "Oh, that's a really fun name," and that's it.
And believe me, I'm absolutely fascinated. I am. But we kicked off the show with a walk in the park. Now,
yes,
I don't get off. Not often that somebody of your stature would say, "Hey, Grant, let's go for a walk in the park," and I'd be wondering what's up here. You know what I mean? Have you got a big hole dug somewhere over in the forest somewhere? So, tell me all about this track.
Okay. Well, it's sort of. I was playing around. It started off with just a few little chord sequence, really, and it had a flavour of a kind of a 60s Burt Bacharach track, and I'm a big fan of Burt Bacharach's songs. From a songwriting perspective, he's written some incredible songs, and as it sort of evolved, it had this sort of summery, sort of easy breezy kind of feel to it, and I just developed the idea of coming up with something was not a sort of a deliberate pastiche on a Burt Bacharach song in particular. It was more of a little homage to his writing style and his sound in particular, with the 60s arrangements with the Rhodes piano and acoustic guitar and sort of light drums, a slight sort of jazzy swing feel to it. And then the more I developed that idea, I just sort of wanted to keep it very, very simple, not have a sort of overly thought out lyric to it. I just wanted it to be that simple thing. You know, his song, This Guy's in Love with You. It's a very, very simple message. And I just visualised this guy, which I suppose is an extension of myself, just going for a walk in the park, thinking about, you know, the woman that he loves on a nice sunny afternoon. And that's it lyrically. And then as started to put the arrangement together, I got very keen on the idea that it had to have a trumpet in there, because Herb Alpert did a lot of trumpet parts for Burt Bacharach songs back in the day. And in my head, I could hear it sort of rounding off the whole thing quite nicely. And so I got in touch with a guy I know who's an extremely good, very well-known trumpet session player in the UK, plays with Jules Holland's band, and he now plays with Gregory Porter regularly as well. That sort of level, those sorts of people he plays with. And I sent him the track and I said, you know, I want some trumpet on this. What do you reckon? And he said, well, what do you want me to do? And I said, just give it the full Herb Alpert, which he did. And what you hear on the recording there, the trumpet part, he just sort of put it down in an afternoon, sent it back to me, and he goes, oh, do you like it? Do you want me to change it? Do you want me to do anything? I said, you know, you've smashed it. It just sounds exactly like something that you would hear Herb Alpert do on an old Burt Bacharach song. So it was kind of delving into that headspace and world, really, which I tend to do with all the songs. That I like them to be their own little stories, and in their own little bubble, their own little universe, and they develop a sort of character of their own. I'm particularly keen on songs ideally not sounding the same. You know, so I've come up with another song, I want to do something else. So there will probably never be another song like that, because I've kind of done that and then moved on to something else. So that was the idea behind that one.
Now, Rob, I got to let you know, I'm the oldest of three brothers. And when we were growing up, I kind of liked setting up my brothers for a little bit of fun, you know what I mean? So, you know, it's good sibling rivalry. And if you remember back in the day, you might remember Mum getting some of these artificial flowers with, you know, the metal wire through the, you know, and of course they had it wrapped in green paper and made it look like a flower and stuff like that. I used to get these things and wrap them together and get my brothers to put them in the power sockets.
Yes.
Just to see if they would smoke.
Right.
You know what I mean? Believe me, I'd set my brothers up all the time. My gosh, almost caught the house on fire doing all sorts of stupid things like this, you know, including kill my brothers a number of times. So when I see a name like Electric Flowers, it just brings me back to the day when my brothers are sitting there going like this, you know. And so did you do the same thing?
No, no, I came to a completely different route. That was nothing to do with trying to set the house on fire. It was it was a sort of a convergence of a couple of different things, really. I'd actually the melody for that track and the arrangement and the idea for it actually came to me in the middle of the night in a dream, and I sort of woke up. I could still hear it. I picked up the guitar, turned on the voice recorder, and played it. So I got it captured, because if you go back to sleep, it's gone. You're never going to hear it again. So I got it sort of, you know, on tape, to you know, talking in old money, and then went back to bed. And then I didn't really know what to do with the lyrics. They weren't really happening for me. And then a mate of mine says, "Oh, you should write a song with electric in the title, because it sounds cool." I don't even really know where he got that idea from. I think it was just sort of random, probably lager talking. But then around that same time, my daughter, who writes a lot of poetry, had entered a poem into a competition, and it won. And so I said, "Oh, send it to me. I'd love to read it." And each line, there's 26 lines in the poem, and each line starts with A and then goes consecutively through the alphabet. And E and F were electric flowers. And I thought, wow, that's a great name for a song title. So once the title was pinged into my head, then the words came, and it was like what I was visualizing was these sort of little, sort of literally electric flowers sort of lighting up down the side of the road, which lead you on life's journey, basically, which is a long, long, twisting road. And the chorus about, dreaming was how, things change over time, basically, and how you might think one part of your life, and in a later part of your life, you reflect on things differently. So as you're walking down this road, which is lined by electric flowers, you carry your memories with you, and ahead of you, it's sort of leading you on a positive journey to a positive outcome. So that's what that's about.
You're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, joined by Rob from Groovy Shirt Club. Here's Electric Flowers. How you feeling, bro? You okay?
Yes, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Oh, not bad, not bad.
30.1.
30.1. Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. How many countries are tuned in right now?
158.
158 countries tuned in right now.
Oh, great.
That's not
Great. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's about right, to be very honest with you.
I didn't know there were 158 countries.
Yeah, there's about 170 something apparently.
Oh, right. So nearly all of them. That can't be bad.
It's a good ratio, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
How many cities?
6,214.
6,214 cities.
Wow.
That's not bad.
That's impressive.
That's not bad.
Okay. Yes. Well, I'm trying to just focus on talking to you and forgetting about all that.
Yeah, it's only the two of us, really.
Tell him my friend in Zambia is listening.
Oh, it's a friend in Zambia. My production manager says her friend in Zambia is listening.
Oh, great.
So it's probably half the village.
This is the amazing thing about all this modern technology, isn't it? Literally the last sort of 5 years, the whole kind of Zoom call thing, the video conferencing has just exploded. Right. And, even for us to be able to have a live conversation literally on opposite sides of the planet like this is incredible, really.
I'll tell you what, Rob, what you really want is the numbers at the end of this, the stats at the end of this, how many people, well, it's not people, it's actually devices, the IP addresses that we ping off on. It could be one person, it could be 10 in a warehouse, I don't know, you know what I mean?
Yes, yeah.
That number is what you really want at the end of this, so
okay.
I'll tell you that. By the way, I'd like to talk to you about promoting you a little bit more than what we can here after this. Would you mind if we put you in touch with some friends of ours who have one of the best magazines in the world?
No, of course, absolutely. Or any promotion and help to push the profile is very grateful for. Because it's like you say. I mean, I'm genuinely flattered that you picked the songs out of all those submissions and things, because it is tricky to get heard, and so anything that's going to help and any support that's around, I will obviously do my best to kind of to go with it and Rob, try to get the best outcome.
Honestly, I trust Barbara because she knows exactly what we're looking for here. She's well trained. She knows her job explicitly. And when she comes and says, Grant, I want to add this into the files, there's no question. You know what I mean? So there's something there that she found within your music that has kicked this off. So well done.
Okay. Well, wow. Thanks.
That's there's the first for a while. I haven't forgotten to turn the microphone on for a little while now, so clever me. Today we're talking to Rob from Groovy Shirt Club, coming out of London town, good old London town. Rob, I used to stay in Piccadilly Circus, so...
Okay, yeah, that's not too far away. Yeah, we're only about 4 stops out from central London. Yes, so often get there.
Yeah, believe me. Here's one for you, and this really did happen. I met up with a young lady coming out of London, and she says, "Oh, you must come back to my place." And I went, "Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Where do you stay?" She goes, "Up a butt." Well, let me just say, she wanted me to move in, but, it didn't come as advertised. Yeah, truly did happen. It really did. Now, I've got a young lady by the name of Fiona. She's coming out of Washington State in the USA, and she's saying, "Rob, as a fan, how do I get hold of you? Are you on Facebook? Are you on X? Are you a talker? But more importantly, do you respond?"
Yes, we would do. Yeah, we're actually on everything. So there's, I suppose the base platform is the actual website, which is groovyshirtclub.com. And I've done multiple searches and put Groovy Shirt Club in just to sort of test what other things might come up. And you just get us because it's such a unique name that it doesn't, it's not similar to other things out there. So you literally get us. So the website is groovyshirtclub.com. And from there, you can go to Facebook. We have a Facebook page, which is at Groovy Shirt Club, Instagram, which is at Groovy Shirt Club, TikTok at Groovy Shirt Club, because I've been able to get them with that name because it's totally unique. So if people send messages, yes, of course, we'll respond. And the music's on all the streaming platforms. Sorry, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Deezer, Tidal. It's on all of them. So once you sign up to the distributor, I'm with TuneCore, which is based in New York. Once I upload a track there, they send it literally to every single streaming platform there is everywhere in the world. And once I sort of set the date that I want it to go live, it goes live simultaneously everywhere. So the music's very easy to find. I mean, even if you just did a basic internet search for us and put Groovy Shirt Club in, then the website, the Facebook page, YouTube channel, all those sorts of things will come up. And we're on so everyone talks about Spotify these days, don't they? They seem to have kind of almost taken over. But you see, it's interesting actually because the track that we released a couple of weeks ago, I don't know how these things sort of find their way, but it's doing a lot better on iTunes than Spotify. And the previous track that we released was the other way around. So who knows? But I think it's probably rooted in independent radio, because like I was saying before when we were off air, it's quite restrictive in the UK that a lot of the big commercial radio stations are playing, it's the same kind of artists, the same kind of sound. It's very difficult to get any airtime at all. Sometimes even if you're well known, and they particularly want tracks that are short because of the TikTok era and all that kind of stuff. So I sort of bent to that a little bit, but more recently I've gone, do you know what, I'm not doing that anymore. Here's the song, this is what we want to be, this is how we want to sound, we want to be true to ourselves, and the music is honest and authentic. It's in there in the playing and the writing. We don't use any AI, any electronics, any trickery. It's a band, drums, bass, guitar, piano, Hammond organ and voices, and that's most of the time what the arrangements are. And the independent radio stations, their criteria, like you saying earlier, is, we will play the song if we like it. If we think it's any good and we like it, we'll play it. Whereas that's not the criteria that drives some of the big commercial radio stations. So when you put a song out and it sort of gets, I get iTunes start reporting now on where things are being played, and it's sort of it's all over the place, and almost don't have any control over it. So it is great when you mention, here's so and so in Washington State, US. That'd be great. If they want to send us a message, I will reply.
Nice. Now, Rob, I've worked for some of the biggest government radio stations, not only here in New Zealand, but Australia and a number of other countries as well. And the primary objective here is maybe not the music and certainly not the artists or anything like that. It's money. You know what I mean? So the more they can churn out to a reliable source, and usually those who are making the top 40s, if you know what I mean, and charging the big money for the big artists and everything like that, well, it trickles down. So it leaves absolutely no space for what I think, is absolutely missing talent from around the world, literally. And it doesn't matter if you come from the Ukraine, it doesn't matter if you come from Tokyo, or maybe even from London, England.
Yes.
It's about the music.
And that's what it should be. It should all be basically about the quality of the music, shouldn't it? Inherently, it starts with the quality of the songwriting. If you've got a good song and it's played well by great musicians and mixed and produced well, at the end of the day, it's down to people's taste. But some of the big commercial stations, it's almost as if they're trying to sort of control that. Rather than just kind of putting it out there, letting it fly, and let people decide whether they like it or not. And it's a bit of an old school attitude these days. So I am very grateful for the independent stations around the world who play the music, because that is their criteria is very, very simple. Is it any good? Do I like it? And if the answer is yes, they play it, and that's it.
Well, let me tell you, Robin, this really happens every night, literally. I get to work about 9:30 at night, and I got to go past reception, literally, to get to my offices and then down the hallways to different various studios. Now, the receptionist, Sarah, lovely young lady, leaves out 3 USBs for me. The first one basically is stats for the day, how we performed, all that sort of stuff on the global scale. Second one is basically named office. So basically, I know that I've got to pay wages, I've got to get in touch with certain emails, fulfill, office duties, stuff like that.
Yes.
And the next one is named noise. Now, the reason the reason why we name it the noise is we don't call our people our fans, and we don't have an army or anything like that. We have a noise, and I tell you why we have a noise is they're not shy on asking for a particular artist and a particular track. Very, very unshy about it, and believe me, we know all about it. We do. So, and I take that one to production about maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the morning. They put it into the to their systems, run it all through the biosphere, the algorithms, everything like that, which then creates our breakfast show. And no 2 breakfast shows are ever alike. Ever.
Right. Well, that's great. That's great.
But that's all based on what the fans have asked. You know what I mean? None of our own input, none of our, this is my fave and I want to hear it, or any of that stuff. It is 100% from the noise and what they asked for. And believe me, I see your name in there almost every morning. I really
great. That's amazing. That's fantastic. So it should be. I'm very flattered, but that's how it should be. Really, I think there is a disconnect sometimes between what the sort of big media says should be popular, and actually what can actually become popular given the right exposure. Because ultimately, it is about what people want to listen to. And there's so much music out there, and there's so much variety. And now with all these streaming platforms and YouTube, anybody can listen to anything they want, anytime, from any era, ever. So what should surface really is what is good and what stands the test of time and what is worth listening to, and not necessarily what a big record label wants to push.
The thing about all of this literally is it's data, if you know what I mean, literally all the way through this, right from the start. When I pick up that USB, it's been data through my receptionist right down to when we get it on the screen here in the morning, or on the screens here in the mornings. Our job's done, literally. It's all been from automatic, if you know what I mean. There's no bias about it in any way, shape or form. I don't think the computer knows what bias is, if you know.
But that's great, because actually some of the feedback, I'm not going to mention names, just but you could probably guess who I'm talking about. But so the guys who were doing some radio plug-in for me were saying that the bigger popular radio stations, when they're taking in a track or a new song or something representing an artist to get some airtime, that they're not even listening to the song anymore. Their first question they ask is, what are their streaming numbers? And not streaming numbers across the board in general, but specifically Spotify. So you can, as an independent artist trying to break through, get into a bit of a catch-22 situation, because to get big streaming numbers you need the radio airtime, but it's the airtime that provides the streaming numbers. So you get caught between the two. But I think it's very sad that, when you think of people like John Peel and Janice Long and Annie Nightingale and those sorts of guys, who were sort of big names in the UK in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, they would just have that idea of, I'm going to play it because I like it. Now that doesn't happen. I think it's very sad that producers sit around in meetings and deciding what to play, and they're probably looking at their phones and go, well, let's play them because they've got 1 million streams. And and that isn't what music should be about, I don't think. I mean, and that's why I don't surrender to that. And I have had a discussion, again, I'm not going to say who it is, but we were bouncing backwards and forwards and going, oh, can you do a remix? Can you make it shorter? Can you cut this bit out? Can you make it like this? Can you make it like that? And then in the end, they didn't play it anyway. And then the full-length version of the track, which was 4 minutes and 20 seconds, which the track I'm talking about is Ultraviolet, which I know you guys have played a lot over the last 12 months.
In fact, it's up next. So I'm going to ask you, tell me all about this track as well, while you're finishing the story.
Okay, well, just to round off, it was, that song in the end got a lot of airplay over the last 12 months, and again from independent radio stations who didn't care that it was, over 4 minutes. The feedback that I got was, we love the track, we're going to play it, and it's been record of the week on a couple of radio stations, and it got us a lot of exposure, and it's that one is over 120,000 streams on Spotify, and other streaming platforms it does well as well. The other thing is, with those, they don't actually show you the numbers. You don't know how many streams that they're publicised them. Whereas I think that's why people look at the Spotify numbers. But to describe the track, so what's Ultraviolet about? It's the lyrics are probably a little bit cryptic, but it's just what came out really. But it is basically, again, it was something that sort of evolved from a dreamlike state, half awake, and I just saw myself flying above planet Earth and looking down on it, and there's all this talk of climate change and environmental collapse and all this kind of stuff, which is humans' fault. But I still see a very positive outcome, because fundamentally humans everywhere are nice people who want to live in a nice environment, and I think that sort of positive spirit is what's going to see us all through in the end. So it's a kind of the chorus is sort of looking on this slightly darker side of where the planet might be going, with the blue sun turning and green sky burning. It was to sort of visualize a sort of oppositeness of what is the reality, but actually in the verses what it talks about is that we are all, harmonious, and we effectively just want to enjoy life and laugh, and that human spirit was bubbling up from the planet as I was flying above it, and not this idea that it's going to be destroyed by us.
You don't absolutely love it, I really do. You're here at Galaxy, joined by Rob from Groovy Shirt Club. Here it is, Ultraviolet. By the way, Rob, 2077 apparently and climbing, so that's how many requests you've had for it so far since we've been playing it.
Okay, wow. That's amazing, thanks.
Here's Ultraviolet. Yeah, 2077 requests, not bad.
Oh, 2077.
Yeah.
So I thought he said seven. I missed that bit. I thought
No.
he said 77. That's incredible. 2077 times it's been requested.
Yeah. So
In the last wow.
In the last
It
couple
was
of
only
weeks.
out just over a year ago.
Not bad. Not
Wow.
bad.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for playing. I know you've been playing it a lot, so I do. Again, I do appreciate. I don't take any of this for granted. I appreciate it when I get such positive feedback. It's
Again, Rob,
it's great to
we
hear.
don't put it in manually. It's done all by the machine, all on the statistics that we have on these devices every morning. You know what I mean? So it's basically you who keep requesting the music. and I got to say thank you, because believe me, without you, I wouldn't have a job, to be very honest with you, but I wouldn't meet hugely interesting people, much like Rob here from Groovy Shirt Club, and I'm absolutely fascinated with his work. I really am. Going to ask you though, Rob, you got anything in the can coming up in the near future?
Yes, at the moment, not doing anything live at the moment. We did. I've recorded a load of new tracks just before Christmas, and we're now working in the sort of production stages of that. Getting the overdubs done, and we're fine tuning the arrangement and that kind of thing. So there's some new tracks going to be coming out fairly soon, hopefully. But again, because we're just a totally independent artist, and it's driven by what we want to do when we want to do it. There's no particular time pressure. It's about getting the tracks out when they're ready. And the other thing is, with the whole streaming thing being so popular now, what I've found is that actually it sort of empowers you to just effectively release one track at a time. When it's ready. I think that the idea of releasing an album isn't quite as important in people's minds these days. And as you release one track at a time, people make up their own albums with their playlists that they make. So that's what we're working on. Next is getting more new songs out. We did Can You Hear Me, which the new sort of remix of that one that released about 3 weeks ago is doing quite well now, and that's going to be followed on fairly soon with some more stuff.
Very cool.
Brand new songs.
Rob, I'm going to cut in because we've got We Are Everyone. We'll round it up there.
Yes.
But don't go anywhere, because after this I want to have a chat to you about, of course, introducing you to some friends of ours with a magazine.
Okay. Okay.
But at the same time, Barbara's going to take some photos. Have you ever been a cartoon before?
Have I been a cartoon? No.
You're going to be now, unfortunately.
Am I?
Yeah, look, Barbara makes fun of me all the time, literally. And there's a funny story attached to it, but you haven't got time. But believe me, she'll probably turn a couple of the photos into cartoons as well, if you know what I mean.
Okay, looking forward to that.
Hang in there, brother. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and today we're talking to Rob on the Groovy Shirt Club. And you know something, I like the idea of a really bright kind of shirt as well. I think we're men of the same kind of flavour, to be very honest with you.
You would definitely look good in one, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I think I would too. Especially if I used to like the old English shirts way back in the day, if you know what I mean, the old piratey thing with the frills and everything like that.
Oh yeah.
And the long jackets, all that. You know, they had style back in those days, and they knew how to make clothes too, by the way. Not like what you get out of, I'm not even going to say it these days. Really aren't. Rob, tell me about We Are Everyone.
Right, We Are Everyone is literally as it sounds. It was, again, it was a sort of something that came to me as I don't know if the risk of sounding a bit pompous, but there's this message really that with everything that's going on in the world, all this sort of disparate things and the conflicts sort of bubbling up all over the place, it was about sort of trying to say something that, you know, with these wars and conflicts, we're not killing other people, we're killing ourselves. That it's about time in the 21st century that we as a race started behaving like we are one people, all of us, especially as the world's getting smaller like we are now. Literally, if you put an orange and put a cocktail stick through it so it was poking out both ends, we are the opposite end of the planet, aren't we? You and I speaking right now, the world is much smaller, and I do feel like we don't seem to be learning from all these catastrophes and conflicts that happened before in the past, and it's time to sort of we need to sort of grow up, because we literally are just one people, regardless of race, colour, religion. There has to be a way that we can just all get on with it and live with each other as neighbours. And the idea came to me when I was reading an article about Cheddar Man, which was a sort of a Stone Age body that was found in peat, I think it was. I can't remember the detail now, and it was almost perfectly preserved, and it was in England. But this person had slightly darker skin, but blue eyes. But over time, that sort of colour of the skin has become more pale, because, you know, we're living in the northern hemisphere, and it's just seemed like, you know, at the end of the day, particularly when you know, certain people get worried about skin colour, which I find utterly irrelevant, that it just shows you that it's just complete and utter load of nonsense, because Northern European white people have come from the same place as everybody else. So you go back and back and back and back and back and back in time. We are this one person who's become everybody. So we are all interconnected in some way, shape, or form. That we are literally everyone. All of us are part of the same thing, of the same family. So, you know, it's something that I've always sort of felt passionate about. So the idea for the songs came to me after reading this article, and there we are. And the other bit about the verse, about I watched at a similar time, there was an article on a science program in the UK about how two universities were working on how to literally record video using DNA, and they managed to do it. So they recorded a short video, encoded it in DNA, sent the DNA strand over to a university in America, and they were able to watch the video. I don't know how they do it. I find that phenomenal. But what it made me, what inspired me, was that if that is possible, then everything that has ever happened in the world, ever, to all of us, is somehow encoded in all of our DNA, like we are a data recording organism for everything ever, which also means that we are all connected. You know, if we trace it back far enough, you and I, who have never met until tonight, are related. We are from that same one person.
You know, there's a big possibility there. There really is. My mother was Scottish too, by the way. But having said that, I had a Magnus Pike moment. I really did. You're right here at Galaxy. We are everyone. Right. I think the only way that the world will ever unite is for something to threaten the world that's not of this planet.
Yes, I think you're probably right there.
You know, I think
it needs a sort of external existential threat.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Yeah. But even Ronald Reagan once very famously in the UK says, you know, how quickly we would forget our differences if this happened. But what if it was man-made pretending to be off-world?
Well, yes. Well, that's getting deep into the whole conspiracy theory thing, isn't it? Who knows? But you know, I think there's with all this bad stuff that's going on. You know, you think in Ukraine and Israel and Syria, particularly, that's on the news a lot, and the chaos that seems to be swirling around in the US with Donald Trump's changing his mind every 10 minutes about how he wants to do things. I think that it feels like sensible people are sort of galvanizing it and are wanting it to stop.
Think about Donald Trump, Rob, and the absolute honesty here is that what the hell is that thing on his head?
Yeah. Who knows?
And what the hell? Do they give it its own room at the White House? And what the hell do they feed it at night? I mean, that's ugly. Have you seen it in the wind?
Yes, I have. I have. Yeah. So what's even crazier is what's going on inside his head. I don't know. I just find it all wrong, because I think it is like an episode of The Simpsons coming to life, isn't it? If you watched a movie about a character like that 20 years ago, before you started sort of gaining notoriety, you just wouldn't believe it.
Exactly, you're quite right. But the thing again is that I think that thing is boring its fangs into his head and giving him electric messages or something from some place other than this world. Really, that guy's weird. Sorry to say, Don, you're weird. Don't like you. And I can say the same thing about our Prime Minister. And I can honestly say I would never hurt or never harm a hair on our Prime Minister's head. He's bald.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
He's got the...
I didn't know that.
The very shiny bowling ball look.
Right.
You know what I mean?
He's just been in the UK.
Yeah, he's just been in the UK. He has.
Has he?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of chaos going. We need some, somebody's got to step up and kind of show some strong leadership. And actually, a guy I've got a lot of respect for is Zelensky, because one of the comments he made in that sort of argument he had with Donald Trump, he says, I'm not playing cards. I'm the president in a country that's at war. In amongst all that sort of nonsense that was going on, and he's amazing. Just the statesmanship and the intelligence.
I'm going to have to cut in here, unfortunately, but fully agree with you. That's right, you're right here at Galaxy 107 FM, and today we're talking to Rob from the band Groovy Shirt Club coming out of London. Now, Rob, We don't normally talk about politics unless we're pulling fun out of it or anything like that, if you know what I mean. We like to find the light-hearted stuff in life, and well, we managed to get our message across at the same time, you know what I mean? So,
Yes.
yeah, I fully agree with you with what you were saying from our friend from the Ukraine, Mr. Zelensky, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to leave it there because I don't get any more deeper than that. Having said that, Rob, I got to say thank you so much for staying up so late at night over there in good old London town and having a chat to us down here in the Antipodes. And, you know, I would really, really be honoured at some stage to possibly meet you in person. You never know what might happen in the near future.
Well, that would be great. You know, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and thanks for having me on the show. I have been to New Zealand once in my life so far. I loved every minute of it. Great country, very, very hospitable, friendly people. I felt right at home, and would love to come back. Maybe even, you know, if things go well, we do some shows over there.
You never know what the future holds, my friend. You really, really don't. Which part of New Zealand did you go to?
Well, we started off in Auckland and spent about a week or so there, and then went down to Queenstown on the South Island, and then went out into Otago, into wine country.
Right.
It was part of a longer trip because it's such a long way to go that we did Australia and New Zealand on that one trip. So Australia first, then to New Zealand, and then came back.
Yeah, no,
I honestly loved it.
I don't blame you leaving Australia. I really, really don't.
I know there's some. Is it friendly rivalry or bitter rivalry? I'm not sure, but I enjoyed both countries a lot. But I definitely would want to come back. That's for sure.
We'll just call it rivalry. What do you reckon? You know, whether you want to call it friendly or not, it can be quite passionate. Simply, it's all about rugby.
Yes, yeah. I mean, or is it? Because basically it's New Zealand and everyone else, isn't it, when it comes to rugby?
Well, it's the All Blacks, and then, you know, the Australians, the Wallabies, I think they're pretty good, but, you know, they haven't had any silverware in the last 37 years, so...
No, rugby's never been quite my thing. I sort of dip into it occasionally when there's a big competition on, but I've always been more interested in football.
Yep, of course. Yep, absolutely. Who's your team, by the way?
Sorry?
Who is your team?
My team? Who's my team? It ended up being West Bromwich Albion.
Okay.
I was actually, because my granddad used to play for Aston Villa before the war. And of course, the war stopped all football matches, and because he was he played for Villa and he was a Villa fan. I sort of grew up a little bit between my dad and my granddad about which one I was going to end up supporting. And of course, when I was younger, it was both. And then you go through school and you go, yeah, no, you can't support two teams. You've got to pick one. And of course, my dad was taking me to West Brom games, and so I ended up being a West Brom supporter. Yeah. So, and I don't think they've won anything since 1968.
I got a friend of mine that follows Leicestershire. That they have a team there. Me personally, I'm a Man U kind of guy.
Okay.
You know.
Yes. Yeah. Well, they're not doing so great all that recently, are they?
Well, it's been a hell of a long time since Beckham bended anything.
No. No, someone's here maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Believe me. But having said that, my friend, we are going to have to wrap this up right now. So I've got to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'd love for you to come back again. So maybe in the near future you will send us some more music and we'll put a convo back together again because I'd love to catch up. But please don't go anywhere just yet because we do have a little thing that I want to have a chat to you about. In the meantime, for everybody else that's joining us this morning, I've got to say thank you so much for joining us. For everybody around the world, and believe me, for our friends over in India, got to say thank you for joining us as well. Believe me, it's an absolute pleasure. And for everybody in Japan and everything like that, thank you as well. In the meantime, join myself and Barbara in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, through until 10 o'clock in the Breakfast Show, guaranteed 100% indie artists, best in the world. And believe me, can't go wrong. You really can't. In the meantime, have a great day. And from everybody here, and especially from me, happy radio, everyone.